Nice tone, N6NA.
Okay, this is KP4MD. We are now live on YouTube.
All right, very good. Thank you. All right, good evening. This is Wilson, November 6th Echo Mike Foxtrot, your net control operator for the River City Arc Slow Scan TV net. This net serves for training and practice and image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City Arcs members and all licensed amateur radio amateurs are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check into the net, please come now.
KL7HQR, New in Antelope.
Good evening, Alpha India 6 Delta Golf in Florida.
All right, well, hello everybody, and thanks for checking in. I got Neil, KL7HQR, Carol, Kilo Papa 4 Mike Delta, Joel, Alpha India 6 Delta Golf, and I'll check myself in at number 4, November 6 Echo Mike Foxtrot for Wilson. Do we have anyone else for check-in? Well, all right. Neil, you're up first. If I heard good tone coming from you earlier, and so right after this, I'll be asking you to send a photo, and as usual, if you could let us know what mode you're going to transmit in. And before I do that, I want to say thanks going out to Joel, AI6DG, for covering for net control last week. That was really nice, so thank you. Neil, when you're ready, go right ahead.
Roger, this is KL7HQR. This is going on PD 120.
right, Neil, it looks like your photo came through beautifully. I can see your, wow, a bouquet of flowers, maybe I can't tell what that is. It looks like a bouquet of flowers, but made of fruit, or something. Or it could be a photograph of that, but anyway, it looks scrumptious. Quite a few pixel pops, not pickle pops, but yeah, so let me turn it over to Carol. Carol, were you able to copy?
Yes, this is KP4MD. If you can see on YouTube what I've copied there. Very good, vivid colors, and it looks like they're open fruits of some kind of citrus fruits, like grapefruits and oranges, and some what look like roses, which are probably some other type of vegetable. Looks like maybe some radishes that are cut open there too. Um, it's quite a nice arrangement of different food products there. Back to Net. This is KP4MD.
Thank you, Carol. Definitely mouth-watering. So how about Joel, AI6DG?
Very colorful. Lots of colors in that image. I'm guessing it's a fruit basket bouquet. Let's see, I'm trying to look at, we got oranges, plums. What's the purple stuff? No, it wouldn't be eggplant, because I don't think eggplant's that color on the inside, just the outside. Was this at some event, or was this a gift? That's what I'm wondering. It looks like it's on a table, so it could be a centerpiece at some event. Well, I guess we'll find out. Back to Net, AI6DG.
Yeah, Joel asks, great question. What's the purple? Skins, possibly skins of something. Anyway, I think that was a good round there. How about Neil, KL7HQR? Would you like to tell us about the photo?
Roger, KL7HQR. Well, to tell you the truth, I ran out of time of looking through my photos to pick one, and so I picked this one primarily for the color combination. I thought it just looks good. If you ever been on a cruise, they always do some kind of compensation of the cooks and the servers and etc., where they do this kind of thing. They do animals and they do fruits and flowers, and the purple is beets. So you have oranges and strawberries, and then the bottom you have the red bell pepper, with the radishes there as well, and on top you have some carrots. Anyway, so this is just one out of I must have a these things, of different things. But yeah, it's they do it normally in one event. They have about 3 or 4 people, and each of them do 2 or 3 of these things. And so it's an art, it really is. Anyway, just for the colors, that's primarily why I picked it up. If there is interest, I can in the future go find some other things similar to this. So back to that.
All right, Neil, are you thinking about bringing us another photograph or some tasty beets, bell pepper, and carrots and those sorts of things?
The best I could do is to bring you the raw material and then let you do your artistic. No, I couldn't do that. No, I have other pictures, some of them really, really intricate. But anyway, so we'll leave it in the future. Looking forward to seeing your pictures tonight, guys. Back to that.
All right, I'm going to continue to harass Neil. Never mind the photos. Bring the beets, the bell pepper, and the carrots, please. You got my mouth watering over here. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that. I would have never guessed those were beets and bell pepper. I wonder what they did on the cruise ship after all of this. Was there a contest for for the guests to figure out what they were made of, and then they got to take it back home or whatever. Or so that's just a fun question. Were there any other questions out there?
Well, what they do with this, they make it and they then take it up to different parts of the ship, normally towards the buffet, and they put it there in display for a day or two, and then they're disposed of. Now, these are done by the crew members, and I never seen a passenger being asked to participate. So, yeah, they're really an artist on this. Back to Nat, and if I can find the stuff one of these days, I'll bring you a bag of legumes and fruits to your house there, Wilson. Back to Nat, KL7HQR.
All right, thank you. I knew I'd get something. Thank you, Neil. If there were no other questions, I'll take a quick pause, and in just a moment we'll turn it over to Carol when she's ready. All right, well, Carol, if you're ready to transmit a photo, you're up. Carol, KP4MD, go right ahead.
Okay, very good. This is KP4MD, and this picture will go out also PD120.
All right, thank you for that, Carol. I will, rather than go first, I'll turn it over to Neil, put him first on the list for a report on his copy.
Yeah, KL7HQI, yeah, it's very good copy. Yeah, as you mentioned before, quite a few colorful dots coming in, a little more active today. But outside of that, a very, very clear picture. And as it was coming down, I was guessing where it would be. You know, it looked like it could be on the old Sacramento, but I assumed that it could be just any place else. And so obviously it's back in 2016. And very good copy. We can even read the Wells Fargo and Company and the sign on the building, and see the stairs going up, and the Pawnee Express Trail sign on the right-hand side, 156 years anniversary. And so so very, very good copy. And I wonder if who was the person who was running N6 Papa back tonight.
Very good. Yeah, so I'll jump down to Neil or Joel rather, AI6DG. Were you able to copy this time?
I'm showing my age because I think I saw this the last time Carol sent this a couple of years ago, or however many years it's been. I don't think she sent it in 2016. I don't think I've been around that long, but excellent reception. I have a bit of the moire pattern that's me. I got to figure out where that ground loop or whatever is coming from. That I usually only see it on dark backgrounds, and I think it's just the low contrast or something on this image that makes it so obvious to me. I'm wondering what kind of antenna, what kind of rig, QRP, how many contacts did you make, and so forth. It's always fun to go out in the field and give it a try and see who comes back. Back to net AI6DG.
Yeah, that's great. I pretty much picked up the same thing. I recognized the contrast point and wondering what in POTA means. I know that POTA is parks on the air, but don't know what the N stands for. And April 3rd, 2016 was a nearby day. So let's see, that was how many years ago? 5? Okay. So yeah, that's my report. I was able to copy and pretty similar response there. So turning it over to Carol, I think, for explanation. Go right ahead, Carol.
Okay, very good. This is KP4MD. This is a QSL card that we designed for this special event station that was actually a joint effort of the River City Arcs and the Samuel F. Morse Amateur Radio Club. We operated out of the Sacramento Visitors Center, which is, if you don't recognize that building in Old Sacramento, the Wells Fargo Museum is in the corner, and just to the left of that, just past that staircase and on the left side is the entrance to the Sacramento Visitors Center. Now, the Sacramento Visitors Center actually is the historic place of the Western Union station that was set up there, and prior to the telegraph reaching there, it was the actual office that was used by the Pony Express. And the 3rd of April, 2016 was 156th year anniversary to the day for the inauguration of the Pony Express service to Sacramento, and that was the actual western end of the Pony Express. Any mail that was delivered there that had to go on to San Francisco was transferred over to a steamboat that went down the Sacramento River down to San Francisco. The station we had there, we had a KX3, Elecraft KX3 with a KXPA 100 amplifier. We had an antenna in the alleyway behind the building. It was a G5RV Junior, and there was unfortunately a reasonable amount of noise there from all of the businesses around. But we wound up making probably 2 or 3 dozen contacts. We only operated on that one day, the 3rd of April, and that was, I believe, a Saturday. And it was, we only operated during the daylight hours. It was, we got there about 9 o'clock, and we kind of wrapped up around 3 p.m. So we did send out QSL cards from the stations that we contacted. And NPOTA was, the whole year, 2016, was the first year that the ARRL started that event called the National Parks on the Air. And people loved it so much that they decided in following years to just do Parks on the Air. So that's the origin of where the Parks on Air came from, that event from that year, where many different national parks were activated during the year of 2016. So back to net. This is KP4MD.
All right, well, Carol, I got to give it to you. You put a lot of history in one breath almost, and a lot of fascinating facts and information there. So, yeah, thanks for that update. I guess that was 5 years ago, and today or this time frame would be 161 years if they continued with the anniversary tradition. I'm not sure if they've done that, but the history that you've given is quite fascinating and makes me want to go down there and check out that museum with the Western Union. I suppose they had a telegraph terminal there at some point, or at least that was a telephone office or something like that. Yeah, really interesting. So nice work. Thanks for explaining INPOTA. I'd heard about that, but I didn't know that it started here. So nice. You were part of that?
Yeah, the NPOTA was actually it was a nationwide event that was announced by the ARRL, and everybody was encouraged to seek out their nearby national park facilities, their different units all around the country. And we picked this building, which is actually on the registry as a national park site there, being that it was the Pony Express terminal. And you can't really go there now because since the pandemic, the Wells Fargo Museum actually is closed, and we don't know if it's ever going to open again. If you look on the website, it says it's permanently closed due to pandemic, and the visitor center is also closed due to the pandemic. Uh, when we did go in there at the time, they did have a telegraph exhibit on display of the original telegraph sounders that the Western Union did use in there. The Western Union, of course, as soon as they went up, there was no need for the Pony Express anymore because there was instantaneous communication. So the actual service of the Pony Express only lasted about a year. Back to net. This is KP4MD.
All right, well, thanks for that follow-up, Carol. Did anybody else have questions or comments?
Carol 7HQ. Carol, how old is the building itself? I am assuming that it is not original.
Oh yeah, this is the actual building. That is the actual facility where the Western Union and the Pony Express was. It's a historic landmark. And I don't know the exact date that it was built, but I'm sure you could look that up. The name of the building is the B.F. Hastings Building in Old Sacramento.
Roger, Roger. Thank you. Yeah, I'll do a follow-up on that. Back to that.
So if I subtract 161 years from 2021, I get 1860. So maybe the building is around 1860 or earlier. Just a thought. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and send a photo. I don't know. I guess I'll send, let me check here, the 120, the PD 120 coming right at you, N6 EMF. right, well, first off, I want to apologize for two things. Number one, I think I must have skipped Joel, AI6DG. Is that correct? I didn't get Joel's review of KP4MD's photo.
No, I did make a comment. I've got one more comment. I think the entire draw of old Sacramento is that most, if not all, of those buildings are that old. So that is the original old Sacramento from the Gold Rush days. Anyway, well, yeah, back to...
Well, somehow I lost track of what happened there, but yeah, 1860s. But this photo that I just sent, I meant to go PD 120, but somehow pressed the wrong button. So I guess I'll just go through the list and see how you were able to copy. So go ahead, Neil, KL7HQR.
Roger, this is KL7HQR. Yeah, you came in on PD 50, and it's surprising how much detail you came in with just that type of resolution. Not knowing automobiles, I assume that these are different photos of a project related to the engine of an automobile. The red arrows seem to be pointing to some significance. On the right side, there are three pictures, one on the left and two on the right-hand side. On the right-hand side seems to be the red arrow is pointing to two different perspectives of the same item. On the left side, it looks a little bit different. Not knowing much about automobiles, I would like to send it back to Nat. Just saying that the picture came in very nice, very clear copy for the resolution.
All right, well, what a surprise. Thanks, Neil. I thought I would have needed more resolution for what I'm trying to show. And this is not as much about automobiles as it is about searching for something. So there's a clue, there's a hint. Carol, KP4MD?
Yeah, looking at this is it looks like I'm seeing a piston and maybe some cylinders, and I don't know if that's for real, and or is something round? I'm not sure what that is. Maybe an oil filter, and it looks like there's a spark plug that's just hanging inside a hole on the end of a cable. It's weird. I don't know if that's what it is, but that's my impression. Kind of looks like something like a spark plug. Anyway, back to you. This is KP for MD.
Aha, Carol, KP4MD. She's getting closer. How about Joel, AI6DG?
Well, I would have liked to see more resolution because it's tempting. I can almost tell what I'm looking at, but not really. Because I don't think we're looking at a piston. I'm wondering if we're looking in a throttle body or intake manifold or whatever it's called on those. Because, injection body, ever since fuel injection took over, not all the parts are called the same thing. So, yeah, it could be a spark plug, but it could also be an injector, or it could be a bolt. Although what's plugged into the top of it, I don't know. So if we're looking at a cylinder, then they're valves we're looking at, but this just doesn't look like a cylinder head or any way that you would get it, unless we're looking in through the intake manifold. Suppose that's possible, but then we're looking at the top end of the valves, not the bottom end of the valves. On the left, there's a round thing up on the top, and I first thought that was a pulley with the fan belt being that straight thing on the side, but I'm not so sure that's the case. Yeah, it was just newer engines done differently and lower resolution. I'm just not sure what I'm looking at, so I look forward to hearing. Back to Net, AI6TG.
All right, there's 1,000 different ways I could try to narrate this, but I'll start off like this. Basically, I was working on this Porsche engine that you folks have heard about. I've had it out of service since about September, and I'm trying to close in on putting the engine back together and get it back in the car. And so I had a plan to have this done at the end of February, but God had his own plan. And I've run into numerous barriers and obstacles and delays. Well, I thought I was making good progress one day, and I was working on the engine, and I compressed a very stiff spring with a pair of channel lock pliers, and I was trying to insert this spring in a mechanism called the VarioCam actuator, and the spring slipped out of the pliers, and I could tell you that it hit me in the chest really hard, and then it disappeared. I didn't hear it hit the floor. I didn't hear another thing. It hit me in the chest, and then it disappeared. Well, then I said, I can't do any more work on this engine. Everything stops until I find this spring, because if for any reason this spring has gone inside the engine, I'm hosed if I don't get this spring out of the engine. So my first thought was that it was trapped in the engine somewhere. So I looked all around the yard the next day, and the grass and the driveway and the planters and all around. I moved everything around in the garage, moved everything off the floors. I have this engine on a stand that is rotatable, so it's like a rotisserie stand, if you will, and I even turned the engine upside down and tried to make things fall out of it. The spring did not fall out. But I made a promise to myself that I would not continue with this engine work until the spring was found. Even if I never, ever, ever completed the engine, it meant that much to me that I would not continue. So I did a really silly thing. I Googled, okay, how to find a small object that you have lost. It's one of those silly Google ideas. So I found a web page that talked about waiting until it's dark, or having an environment where it can be dark, and then you get a flashlight, and you get down on the floor, and you sweep the floor with the flashlight beam until you find the part. So I waited until nighttime, and I went back out to the garage with my best bright flashlight, and I did that. Could not find it on the floor, but then if you look at the left-hand photo, when I shine the light or down inside this, what we call an intake plenum, this is what you're looking at inside the engine, is where the air is brought in after it's filtered by the air filter. It goes into this duct here on the left where the arrow is, in that big round hole. And then that duct distributes the air to the 3 of the 6 cylinders. So this is the bank number 1 with 3 cylinders on it. Well, you can see that arrow is pointing at the very tippity top of the spring. Just remember, I had this engine turned upside down, and for some reason the spring did not come out. And then I have this magnetic pickup tool that is kind of like a slinky. It's an adjustable stiff tool that I ran down in there. It has a magnetic head on it, and that's the upper right-hand photograph with the arrow pointing down, and you can see the snake-like item picking up the spring. The picture down in the lower right-hand corner is me pulling the spring out of the intake plenum, and that would have been cylinder number 2. No, actually, I have this wrong. That would have been cylinder number 5 of 6. And just imagine, had I not taken that stance about putting the engine back together before finding the spring, that this spring could have gone down inside the engine and gotten jammed up on one of the intake valves, and it would have probably destroyed that engine. So there was a little bit of sort of a story and a moral, is that if you have a conviction about getting something right, follow your convictions and be persistent, and don't give up. N6EMF. Any other comments or questions?
KL7HQY. What surprised me is that you took the time to have the pictures taken. I don't know if somebody else was taking the pictures, Because if I was being very careful with the magnetic tool, bringing that out of there, I would not stop halfway through to take a picture. I would have gotten that thing way, very quickly out of there. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, Neil. I did take the picture with one hand and guide it with the other hand somehow. I don't know how I did it. Maybe it was adrenaline or whatever it was. I managed to do this, and this was using my iPhone with the light on the back. It basically illuminated the entire environment pretty good, and all I could see was that little top tip of the spring on the left, and that's what gave me a clue that something foreign was in there. And I was really shocked that it didn't fall out when I had the engine turned upside down. Any other points or questions? Thanks, Neil. Go ahead. I think that was Joel, AI6DG.
Congratulations on your persistence, and wow, that was well hidden. That was way down in there.
Yeah, that was my fun. So I'm getting closer though. This thing's coming together. I'm probably I have to slow down and just take my time. I have a lot of things on my plate right now. My dad had a stroke in the middle of February, and he lost 100% of his speech, and has been relearning how to speak again. And his rate of improvement is about 0.5% per day. But the good thing about that is his progress is steady, and we're not completely out of the woods. So I'm getting, I'm more involved with him every day. So that's another barrier to getting this done expediently. But thank you. Any other points or comments? If not, being 9:35, we could have one more photo for fun, or we could do some small talk and then close the net. Let's take a vote.
Joe sent his picture yet?
That was a good test. I was testing the group to make sure. Joel, are you ready to send a photo?
Tone test. Was there a tone, and was it too loud or not loud enough?
No tone, Joel. I didn't hear the repeater. I didn't hear the repeater drop, and there was no tone. You want to try it again? Nothing there. Oh, once again, N6NA net control.
One moment. Let me check.
N6NA standing by for Joel, AI6DG. Joel, you dropped.
Is there a tone? I mean, is it getting out?
Joel, you were transmitting while talking at the same time. You want to try it again?
Okay, so, but were you hearing the slow scan signal or a tone?
Yes, let me clarify. I did hear slow scan transmission while you were talking.
Okay, then it's working now for some reason. I just restarted SSTV. This is P120, and here it is.
Hi, Joel. So I was able to copy your photo. Nice blue sky, aerial view of landscape with a hairpin style, a hairpin road corner or whatever. And for me, it's reminiscent of Cribillo Point in San Diego, but I know it's probably not that, but it reminds me of a coastal town, but I can't tell you where it's at, but very reminiscent of a San Diego landscape view. Boy, you've got San Diego on my mind now. So let's see. I'll turn it over to Neil, KL7HQR. Were you able to copy the photo?
Roger, KL7HQR. Very good copy here, although the resolution of the picture on the distance is not that clear. But I believe if it is what I think it is a place that I was there for the first and only time in 1966, 1 year just before I went to the Air Force. I think it is the Twin Peaks in San Francisco, and what we see there is a beautiful view along Market Street. And so let's see how close or far away I am. Back to Net.
All right, well, very good. I wouldn't have been able to guess that from that perspective. Been up there once, but I guess I wouldn't have remembered. But it looks like you have that Transamerica-looking building over there around 11 o'clock at the top of the photo, possibly. And maybe that's the bay over there. So let me turn it over to Carol, KP4 Mike Delta.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. I'm going to go with what Wilson's saying. I have no idea what that body of water is there in the distance. It looks like it could be San Francisco Bay. I was thinking maybe Lake Tahoe, but no. There's no buildup of any buildings that close to Lake Tahoe. So nice high vantage point, though, down onto a city there from an overlooking mountain. Back to Net. This is KP4MD.
All right, well, thank you, Carol. Yeah, so Joel, promise I'm not going to forget you this time. My apologies. AI60EG, would you like to tell us about the photo?
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed that it didn't turn out better. Looking at the YouTube, and the resolution really didn't come out so good, even with it being PD120. It's in the original, but for some reason I think there's a resolution loss loading it into MMS TV, which doesn't always do a good job of resizing photos. This is Christmas Tree Point on Twin Peaks in San Francisco, and we are looking down Market. So you were right. This is the Twin Peaks area. It's called Twin Peaks, so there's a couple of peaks up there. And in this one area, you've got this point, Christmas Tree Point, looking out across San Francisco towards the bay with this beautiful little hairpin turn on the road in front of you. If you turn around, say 120 degrees to the left, you're looking at Golden Gate, the bridge. Another, would it be 60 degrees, so you're looking directly behind you. You're looking at the other of the two Twin Peaks, and it's a really short hike up to it. It's only like a quarter mile away, and most of it's road. And actually in between, but let's say between Golden Gate and the other peak is Sutro Tower, that big TV tower that's a tripod that's in San Francisco is there. Doesn't look as big when you're at the bottom of it looking up, as surprisingly. This is a huge tourist trap spot. I went down there and was taking a gigapan, which is basically I mount a camera on a little automated a gadget, and it takes thousands of pictures with the camera zoomed in, and then when I get it, and it's moving in between, so it's in a grid. So it moves a little bit, takes a picture, moves a little bit, takes a picture, moves a little bit, takes a picture. And then when I get home, I can paste all those pictures together and have an ultra-high resolution image of this. And I'm not sure it turned out. I don't remember exactly what the problem was, but it doesn't take much to ruin a shot. But it was an amazing view, and while I was there, I was with the Gigapan head taking the Gigapan. It was an incredible number of people driving up, parking, taking in the view, tour buses driving up, trying to find parking places. I was lucky. I guess I got there early and found a space. The parking lot's not very big. And it was just an absolute tourist madhouse with cars and people. And finally gave up what I was doing and decided to go over to Golden Gate. And where I was at this spot in the beautiful sun, getting a terrible sunburn, I went over to the Golden Gate Bridge and walked out, partway out on the bridge, and it was in fog, and I was freezing. It was fogged in with the foghorn running, and I was just getting drenched. It was wet and cold. Amazing differential the same day between the two spots. This view you've seen before. This is a very popular spot, or at least was at one time, for car ads. You've seen this at night with cars going up and around it, going around the corner. Back to net, AI6DG.
All right, well, thanks for that, Joel. I don't remember a single one of the car ads, but can you remember one brand or one car that went around this curve in an ad that maybe we could remember?
No, I'm sorry. I'm now I think about it, I'm not sure that it's as many ads as it used to be. There was a period of time, a few years ago, where you'd see it every night watching TV because it just was so popular. But then you could say the same thing about Whitney Portal Road down in Lone Pine. That's the road that drives up to the Whitney zone to do the hike onto Mount Whitney. That road and the Alabama Hills, you see in a lot of ads too, if you know what you're looking at, because it's usually just there for a second or a fraction of a second.
All right, well, yeah, thanks, Joel. It's very nice work. I'm inspired. I want to get up there, but if I do so, I'm definitely going to want to carry a rain jacket and some gloves and probably a a thermos with some hot liquids in there. Any other comments or questions for Joel, AI6DG out there?
KL7HQR. Well, welcome to San Francisco. Now you know why those stores sell so many San Francisco jackets down by the Fisherman's Wharf. And I'm gonna search. I believe one time I went there in 1966. I believe I took a picture. That's why it came to mind exactly on this angle. And I think it was either a slide or a Polaroid, one of those old instant Polaroid pictures. I'm going to see if I can find it. If I find it one of these days, I'll send that one out. Back to that KL7HQ.
Nice. I suppose there's no way to get a POTA going here. I mean, with that many tourists and that much traffic, you wouldn't have at that time of day, wouldn't have a good chance to set up anything meaningful for a portable station. So, just a thought.
I don't think it would be parks on the air. You might be summits on the air if that's one of the listed summits.
All right. Well, any other comments or questions for Joel? All right. Well, it's been a fun time. We have just a few minutes left, and I think before we start another round, maybe we just seek to close out the net. Did we have any other general comments or questions for the net tonight?
Just a generical question. I have not done slow scan TV on HF yet, and I was wondering if there is any special settings that we need to do on MMS SSTV to send out the required Morse code at the end of the broadcast.
Yeah, I thought that this is KP4MD. I haven't, for the Morse code ID, what you have to do, let me take a look at that now. You go to set up MMSSTV, and then you click on the TX tab, and then you go down to the lower right hand corner. It says CWID, and yours is probably off. What you need to do is click on CW and make sure that you have your call sign up in the template box there. That's the upper right hand corner of that pop-up. It says template. Make sure your call sign is in there. This is KP4MD.
KL7HQR, there was a double there between you and Wilson in the beginning, but I got everything, Carol. I'm definitely going to do that. I'll look into it. I appreciate the information. Back to Nat.
All right, well, very good. I think what I'll do is say, Carol, thanks for running the Slow Scan TV YouTube portion of the activity, and I want to express appreciation to the YouTube viewers out there that are appreciating and enjoying our show. So this is a fun cast. So thanks for everybody participating in the SSTV tonight, and like to hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. And so I guess the net is officially closed here at 9:54 p.m. This is November 6th Echo Mike Foxtrot. Wilson wishing all of you a good evening. 73.